Hey guys, I want to make a quick video to show you guys what to do if you get stuck in a bad snowstorm or a bad rainstorm. Um, Last night I had two drivers in two different states and they got hit by the same snowstorm. The snowstorm right here that you see going by, this one was covering Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, PA, Baltimore. So it was covering multiple states and it was dropping a lot of snow. Now, as you can see, as it goes up the coast, it's turning into rain. So, when it goes over the ocean, it turns into rain, but there's still snowing up here. Um, I'm not a weatherman or anything, but when you see stuff like this, rain mixed with snow, you have to be careful with that too, because that means it's turning, even though it's over the ocean, on the coast, it's turning streets into ice because it's got the cold. It's connected to the cold. So when you have something like this, you have to make a decision whether to stop your driver or not. Okay, I had a driver going to the Carolinas, got stuck in the highway. He couldn't move, and it's been going on all week in the West where people are camped out on the highways because they're closed down. There's nowhere to go, in the Pacific Northwest. So it's always good to check the radar. Always good to check the weather. If you're dispatching or if you're you know, doing it on your own, download a weather app and make sure to track these storms. Now, this storm, I didn't see it when I booked the loads a couple of days ago, but uh, when this stuff happens, you have to make a decision because it's going to slow you down. If you're doing 20 miles an hour on the highway, uh, it's better to, do your mandatory 10 hour break, because if you're doing 25 or 30 miles an hour because of the snow, that means it's going to double your time to go to where you need to go. So it's always better if it's going to move. As you can see, it's moving up northeast, but last night it was covering all this while my drivers were there, and it slowed them down massively. So it's better to do 60 miles an hour or 70 when this clears up than to be driving real slowly at 25, 20 miles an hour, sometimes at a standstill. So when you get caught in a snowstorm, always look at the radar and see if it's going to pass through. When I looked at this last night, it was covering all this area here, but it was moving up the same way it's coming up northeast. It was moving up. So when I played the radar, my driver's right here. He was in the middle of it, and the whole state was covered. So when I told him, to take that mandatory 10-hour break, because he was, it was slowing him down. Naturally, he wanted to keep going, which is never good, because you gotta be, first, you gotta be safe. You gotta put safety first, and it's not productive because if you're doing, you know, 20, 30 miles, even 40 miles an hour on the highway because of a storm, you're better off just taking that break, that mandatory 10-hour break, and then drive when it clears up at, when you can do 70, 75 miles an hour. Because no matter what, you still have to take that 10-hour mandatory break. So you got to pick the right time. So if you get stuck in a big storm, see how long it's going to move through and then make a decision on that. And every time you get stuck in a snowstorm or rainstorm, make sure you let the brokers know, because then they'll talk to the shippers. And if there's a delay, they won't hold it against you. Now, if you go driving thinking you're going to make it on time, uh, and you get there late, and then the shipper's like, the broker's like, what happened? Oh, well, I have a snowstorm last night and this and that, then it's going to sound like an excuse. So, well, I'm up, it's 4 o'clock now. So when the brokers get in the office, I'm going to call them and say, hey, my drivers got delayed last night. They got stuck in a big storm. And then he's going to relay that information to the shipper. And then they understand, when it comes to weather, there's always delays. When you get packages from UPS or um, or FedEx, and you check the app, they'll give you an update. There's been a delay. It's going to be delayed another day for the weather. So they already understand this stuff. And like I said, you have to make a decision. Drive at 20 miles an hour or whatever, or at a standstill. The driver I had in Virginia was stuck in the highway. He wasn't moving, and my other driver was, he was moving, but not at the maximum speed. So if you have to take that 10-hour break, take it early. If you have to get up at, if it's done at 10, 3 or 4 in the morning, go ahead and start driving then when it clears up. So it's always good to check the radar to see which way the storm is moving, and it'll tell you right here. As it moves, it'll tell you what time it'll clear. So my driver is 4 something. He'll be pretty soon. He'll be hitting the road, and by the time he hits the road, it's 4:30 now. And as you can see, he has to come over here in Baltimore, Maryland. It's all cleared up. So if he would have kept on last night at a snail's pace, he just would have made double the time. So make that decision, and always put your safety and your drivers first. Talk to you next time.